Our session today will be on market structures. So when we're dealing with market structures, basically we're referring to organizational characteristics that any market must possess. So when we're looking at the characteristics, we look at them in terms of the number, the size of the firms, the level of competition, the nature of the product, and also the kind of elasticity that is there. So let's go through and delve into a perfectly competitive market. What is a perfectly competitive market? It is a market that has a large number of buyers and sellers. And the goods in this market structure are the same. We use the term homogeneous or standardized products. In this market structure, there is easy entry and exit. Easy entry and exit. And when you're dealing with a perfect market, what should come into your mind is a common market like Soweto market for you to understand better. So it's easy entry and exit, meaning anyone can come in and leave whatever time and whenever they feel like. I said the goods are homogeneous or standardized, meaning the goods that we're dealing with here are offered by different sellers, but they are very identical. In this market structure, there's perfect information or knowledge. It means that the buyers and sellers have access to complete information regarding the prices and the quantities, the market conditions. So there's no information that is hidden. So if you're buying tomato, you know that this time tomato must be expensive or it must be cheap because of the rainy season. There's free entry and exit, which simply means that firms can prefer to enter this market without facing any barriers. They can leave whenever they feel like without any obstacles. This market structure also has what we call price takers. Price takers means the firms have no power to set prices. And so when moving into this market, they must accept the prevailing market price, which is determined by the invisible hand of supply and demand. So these firms here basically operate under the forces of demand and supply. If you're going to look at the graph, looks like this, the horizontal graph. The price is the same as what?
Mr. Colin,
Yes, please.
sorry. I didn't disturb the class. I was talking to. Yes, you can. What about?
So the characteristics of a perfectly competitive market, we can add other characteristics about profit maximization to understand that the firms in this market structure who aim to maximize their profit at the point where the price is equal to the marginal cost. So since the price in this market structure is the same as what? Marginal revenue. So the marginal cost function looks like this. This is the average cost. This is the marginal cost. So where the marginal cost and the marginal revenue meet, this is called the profit maximizing area. So it maximizes profit here at the point where the marginal cost is equal to the marginal revenue. So these ones maximize their profit in the short run. But we must also understand that they make zero economic profits in the long run because in the long run, due to easy entry, firms usually enter this market as and when is needed, thereby coercing stiff competition, which drives all players to almost make little or zero economic profit because firms can only earn a normal profit in this market structure. I'll give an example of handbags or perfumes, which are not even designer perfumes. As you're entering a market, ladies will understand that if you're the few who are already in the market, you will enjoy your profits until everyone thinks and hears about Alluvion or these brands that are coming. They'll flood the market such that they'll cause the cost to go up, these average costs. So from here, they'll go up from this point, they'll go up to this point, thereby depleting all this profit, which was your normal economic profit, to be zero economic profit. So this is what happens in the long run. So under perfectly competitive market, you must also understand the other factors that simply say that there's free mobility, meaning resources such as land, labor, and capital will move easily and freely across different industries and firms based on their demand. So there's actually no significant barriers in the movement of the factors of production. So there's perfect factor substitutability, meaning the factors of production like land, capital are considered to be perfect substitutes. So firms can adjust their input to mix without incurring additional costs. So this is what happens in a perfectly competitive market. So we have another market which we call monopoly. In a monopoly, what should come into your mind is ZESCO. So in this market structure, you must understand that there's a single firm that dominates the market. And this single firm that dominates the market is unique. It must have no close substitutes like ZESCO. So the unique product that is being offered should have no close substitutes and the monopolist in this case, like ZESCO, must have total or absolute control over the supply of raw materials. This market structure is also characterized by high barriers to entry. These barriers to entry restrict other players in the market from entering using barriers like patent rights, licensing, huge startup costs, exclusive control over the key raw materials. This limits the ability of new players to come into the market. So you need to understand what denotes a monopoly. And the monopoly is a price maker, in the sense that they have absolute control over setting of the prices. So they can adjust prices higher than their marginal cost. They make abnormal profits in the short run. So we complain about price increases, but usually the demand is inelastic. It's not sensitive. It's we're just reactive. We cannot do anything because there are no alternatives. So this is what happens in monopoly. All right. So I'll ask you questions after I'm done with explaining the slides so that you remember. Okay, so there are no close substitutes. The potential for the firm to earn supernormal profit in the long run is still there. Demand is inelastic. You also must understand that there's monopolistic power in this market structure. So this means that monopolies here have significant power to influence the market conditions, including the prices, the output levels. They'll decide how much to produce, and they determine the market behavior. So, of course, there's no pure monopoly. Usually governments would want to intervene to control the market. But you must understand that this monopolistic power is usually adjusted so that they don't exploit the market. So this is about the monopoly. We go to another market structure. So in a monopoly, before I proceed, the curves look like this. Here we have our average revenue, then half of it is the marginal revenue. Then the C is called the marginal, the average cost, average total cost. Then half of the C is called the marginal cost. So where the marginal cost and the marginal revenue meet, that is where profit is maximized. So ABC is our abnormal profit. So this is what happens. So you must understand the graphical implication of this. So they make supernormal profits in the long run and abnormal profits in the short run. We have another market structure which is called an oligopoly. An oligopoly is a market structure which is characterized by interdependence. Firms make decisions interdependently at the kink. So in this market structure, you must understand that a small number of firms who dominate the market, they'll form a cartel. There's high concentration of power among few firms, and there's heavy barriers to entry, moderate to high. These ones will produce both homogeneous and heterogeneous goods. Homogeneous are identical goods. Heterogeneous are properly differentiated goods. So firms may engage in what is called non-price competition, like advertising together, product differentiation, and many more. So these characteristics of an oligopoly are very important, especially in the graphical context. So there's what we call a strategic behavior that they usually emulate, where firms will engage in the strategic behavior to consider potential reactions that other competitors may make when pricing. So like I mentioned, there are heavy barriers to entry. They make it difficult for new entries to come in. So these barriers include economies of scale. What is meant by economies of scale? They also engage in what is called price discrimination, where they get to choose to price differently a product which is the same to different locations. For instance, the OPEC countries will sell fuel to a particular country at a price of preference. To the southern or the other parts of the world, they'll sell at different prices. That is what we call price discrimination. There's first, second, and third degree price discrimination. But for now, just know that this market structure is characterized by price discrimination. There's price leadership in some cases where an oligopoly may have one dominant firm, like Nigeria. This one will be known as price leadership, where other firms will need to follow the lead of the dominant firm in terms of pricing. So Nigeria will say, because I'm the biggest supplier, let us price at so much, and everyone has to follow. Then it's also characterized by what is called a collusion. A collusion where firms may engage in a collusion which involves cooperating with other firms to reduce competition and to maximize their profits. These collusions can take the form of fixing prices or sharing the market or bad rigging. It is generally illegal, but subject to regulations. So now, as far as we have gone, could do a quick, can you remember? Can you give me any 4 characteristics of perfect competition, monopoly, and oligopoly? Quickly. Give me any 4 characteristics of these market structures. Yes?
Let me try perfect competition. It's easy to enter the market. There is perfect information. The for example, the marketeers, they share the competition and they make sure that they sell the product at the same price. I don't know how to put it.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, let me think about the other one.
Okay, so there's large number of buyers and sellers. The goods are the same, meaning they're homogeneous. There's perfect information, meaning buyers and sellers have complete information. There's easy entry and exit, meaning firms can enter the market without facing barriers. They're price takers, meaning they have no power to set the prices. Okay, so
On monopoly.
you got to go on monopoly, correct? What are the features of monopoly?
Monopoly, the single firm dominates the market.
Yes, one single firm dominates the market, correct?
Yes, and there's significant control over the price.
Yes, significant control. They're price setters, yes.
And they make sure there is no cross substitutes.
So there are no close substitutes that are unique. The goods must be unique, correct? All right.
What else?
They have huge barriers to entry. They have restricted output, they have monopolistic power, and they make a supernormal profit in the long run and abnormal profit in the short run. That is correct. Then oligopoly, what did we say?
Oligopoly, you said there are small number of large firms. They dominate the market.
Good.
And it has also a similar thing is appearing on the barrier of entry. It can range from moderate to high.
Correct. Yes, also have huge barriers to entry, correct. All right. So a monopoly, they form a cartel. They have a high interdependence. They also are price setters, huge barriers to entry. They have non-price competition, and there's also price leadership in this kind of market structure. Then we lastly go to what is called a monopolist. What should come into your mind when you're dealing with monopolists? Restaurants that are differentiated, chain stores that differentiate their product, Trade Kings, Unilever. All right. So that is what should come into your mind. So here are the characteristics of a monopolist. A monopolist, a large number of firms that operate in this market, though not as large as perfect competition. The goods are heterogeneous, meaning they're differentiated, and each firm produces slightly a different product, which could be seen as unique because it is what? Differentiated using branding and quality features. They have a little control over price because of the product differentiation that they set within their range based on the perceived value of the product. There's easy entry and exit. While there may be some barriers, they are relatively low compared to monopoly. They engage in non-price competition where firms engage in non-price competition such as advertising, marketing, and branding, and product differentiation to attract customers. Demand is elastic, meaning each product is relatively elastic due to the availability of close substitutes. Short-term economic profits, they will earn short-term economic profits if they successfully differentiate their products to attract customers. So this is a market structure that is comprises that dominates the perfectly competitive market. Are we together?
Yeah.
So we now go to the graphs. Tell me which one is which. So let's go to these graphs here. Which one is perfect competition? Which one is oligopoly? Which one is monopoly? And which one is monopolist?
Oh, but this one you catch me.
1, 2, 3, and 4. Which one is perfect competition?
Let me try to guess. Number 3.
Number 3 is what?
Perfect competition.
Try again.
Okay, between 3 and 4.
Number 1 is perfect competition. The demand is what? Horizontal. This is perfect competition.
Oh, okay.
Number 2 is what? There's a kink, this one. Oligopoly. It's one that has a kinked demand. Number 3 is what? Monopoly. And number 4 is monopolist. Okay. Police. So these are the three market structures the four market structures that you need to know. All right.
What does AR in the first one stand for?
All right. AR is average revenue. This is what we looked at yesterday. MR is marginal revenue. AR is average revenue. I'll explain that in our next session.